I have a long relationship with the Sonic series. The Sega Genesis was the first console I ever owned, and the first game I ever played was the original Sonic the Hedgehog. It was fast, fun, and instilled my 4-year-old self with the spark that would eventually grow into a lifelong love of gaming. I was too young then to know or care about the console wars, blast processing, or what Nintendo did or didn't do. All I knew was that this blue blur was fast, cool, and most importantly, fun. My, how far we've fallen. Time to review. Sonic Forces. The story here is pretty simple. Eggman has a new creation called Infinite, able to create manifestations of Sonic's past enemies. He begins to destroy a city, and when Sonic attempts to stop him, he does the one thing that Sega can't seem to do despite their best efforts, and kills the blue blur. With Sonic out of the way, Eggman proceeds to take over the world as a resistance forms consisting of the rest of Team Sonic, led by Knuckles, for some reason. Eventually it's learned that Sonic is still alive and being tortured by Eggman, so the team sends in a player-made avatar known only as the Rookie to save him. At the same time, Classic Sonic appears and helps Tails to escape and later fight Eggman. Wow, this story is all kinds of messed up. There are so many inconsistencies and issues, I think it'd be most efficient if I just make a short list. So here goes. Why is Classic Sonic here, and why is he from another dimension instead of the past all of a sudden? Why is Silver here if he's supposed to be from the future? If Silver's here, then where's Blaze the Cat, or is she actually a princess from another dimension in this game? Why is Team Sonic sending in a Rookie to rescue Sonic instead of someone they have more faith in? Why, of all the people on the team, is Knuckles the leader? Why does Knuckles say Tails lost his mind when, given the events that we know happened, he went missing at the same time as Sonic? If Sonic's been being tortured for months, why does he look perfectly fine when we come to rescue him? I'll stop here, but these are only a few of the many story inconsistencies, and these are only the ones that I found after the first 3 minutes. Honestly, it wouldn't matter so much if the game didn't place so much emphasis on the plot. That's the difference between games like this and games like Mario. Mario has some stupid stories and silly plots, but they get the fuck out of the way for the gameplay to take center stage. Trying to turn this game into a Saturday morning cartoon just goes to show how little faith the developers have in the game itself. Truth be told, the biggest issue with this story is that of tone. There's mentions of Sonic's death, Knuckles being incredibly dark and discussing the hopelessness of war, and straight up torture mixed with fun, bouncy music, lighthearted quipping, and, oh yeah, adorable animal mascots. None of this makes sense. At first, I thought that the game may have been trying to use the tone difference for a comic effect, but as the game went on, it became obvious that wasn't the case. It's a game about forest creatures fighting an evil scientist with an army of robots. The story doesn't have to be complex or even all that interesting, so how does Sonic Team manage to make it worse with each iteration? The voice acting is alright, and sometimes Sonic can be legitimately entertaining, but overall it's a giant mess with little redeeming factors. Aside from the story, the presentation is actually pretty good. The music is serviceable, with some pretty cool tracks thrown in, although nothing quite as good as previous entries in the series. The main theme song is exciting and works well, but it's definitely overused to the point where it became kind of annoying towards the finale. And man, that end credit song is just the weirdest choice.
Find the strength that lies within your soul, and believe that you can do it.
The graphics are great though. Wonderfully detailed backdrops and impressive character models and animations make for a visually impressive experience. Moving at high speeds without a single frame drop is a refreshing change of pace, especially after Sonic Boom. Plus, look at Sonic's gloves, they're so detailed! Sonic Force's biggest gimmick is the ability to create and play as your own avatar with a grappling hook and unique set of combat mechanics at their disposal. Character creation for the Fursona is pretty basic to start out, but gets an impressive collection of items pretty quickly. There are tons of items to collect, and many of them are fun to throw on your character. All that said, a polished turd still tastes like shit, and when it comes to what's important, this game fails on nearly every level. As far as the gameplay goes, it's basically Sonic Generations in that it has stages with Modern Sonic and Classic Sonic with two major changes. The first is the player-created avatar stages, which are just like modern Sonic stages, but slower, easier, and less fun. The second is that while everything is similar to Sonic Generations, it's also worse in just about every way. Let's start with classic Sonic. With Sonic Mania coming out and blowing everyone away, it absolutely amazes me that classic Sonic controls the way he does. If you jump while running and want to slow down in midair, it's a complete crapshoot as to whether he'll continue forward or completely stop in place. Hit detection is also a constant issue, and it's incredibly easy to lose track of him while playing since the screen is so zoomed out and there's nothing that really distinguishes him from the environment. All in all, his stages are fairly standard, but he just doesn't control as well as he should. There's very little sense of speed, even going as far as to completely screw up the most fundamental aspect of a Sonic game, the momentum. Plus, there's a damn auto-scrolling level in a Sonic game! The worst part is that classic Sonic's playstyle is somehow the best in the game since his stages are at least somewhat competent, something I can't say for the other two. Up next, you have Modern Sonic, who was my favorite part of Generations. His gameplay revolves around the boost mechanic like in previous titles, but there are so many bugs and glitches, certain stages are nearly unplayable. Grinding on rails has a lot of poor hitboxes, the camera has trouble keeping Sonic in focus, and the stages are designed incredibly poorly, making it frustratingly difficult to keep up momentum while playing. Be prepared to go careening off ledges without warning over and over again with no fault of your own. The physics are straight up broken, and even worse than classic Sonic's. His momentum also has no consistency, the individual level mechanics are frustrating, and everything just feels unfinished. Overall, it's probably the third most broken game in the series after Sonic 06 and Boom. Lastly, there's the player avatar. Their stages play nearly identical to modern Sonic's, but instead of a boost, this character has a weapon they can use. It could be a flamethrower, an electric whip, or a hammer that turns all enemies into destructible blocks. They also have a grapple which is similar to Sonic's homing attack. Then, there are the special abilities that can be charged up, exclusive to the weapon being used, including multiple jumps, ring dashing, and more. But there's no way to collect everything in a stage on the first go without going through tedium, making it frustrating when you chose the wrong ability going into a stage. The worst part is that not only are the stages nearly identical to those of modern Sonic, but they play much slower and are mind-numbingly boring to finish. It just feels like they wanted an excuse to repeat levels instead of designing more, so they invented the fursona to double up on modern Sonic stages without changing the gameplay accordingly. The final nail in this game's coffin comes from the boss fights. These range from insultingly easy, to straight up broken, to completely and utterly bullshit. Zavok has terrible lock-on detection, Infinite's fight is the same as Metal Sonic, and the Death Egg robot is a complete joke. Every boss has incredibly poor telegraphing and irritating attacks that combine with the awful controls and physics to make for a truly frustrating experience, perfectly capturing every issue this game has to offer. Sonic Forces is a truly disappointing game. It lacks any understanding of what makes a good Sonic game work. In addition to its various glitches, design issues, and terrible story, the game is only 3 to 4 hours long. That's even shorter than Sonic Mania! And sure, there are the bonus stages and SOS missions that request players replay levels, but why would they? No one will want to go back and replay this game, and most people will regret playing it in the first place, which is why Sonic Forces for the PS4 gets a 4 out of 10. It's not a complete disaster, but it's pretty damn close. In a year that was swimming with great 3D platformers, even at a discount price of $40, it's just sad to see what Sonic Team is content with releasing. I do hope Sonic gets the game he deserves one day, but it looks like we'll have to keep waiting for that day to come. That said, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, be sure to comment, subscribe, all that bullshit, and as always, have a mighty nifty day today.